emotional because I wanted Zimmer to take out the lineup card. And he says, "You take it out."
Yeah.
See, it's those small moments that you don't think, you don't plan for, and those are the ones that choke you up too.
Yeah, and we were out at the stadium on Tuesday or Thursday, and Marvin Hamlisch, he passed.
Yeah.
He was a friend, and we had a day for him where the Yankees did a little tribute to him. And I was there with his wife, Marvin's wife, and friends and other family members. And after the fourth inning, they played The Way We Were, and it showed the Yankees over the years, And I got to the part where my guys were, and I started getting choked up just watching it,
They don't realize, you're seeing Jeter as like this little kid.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, corded up. Now he's the old man.
No, he gave me the home run ball that he broke my record. And he says, "I told you I should have been hitting third all those years."
Oh, that's good. That's good. How much time, Seton?
Got about 20.
Okay. How's the commissioner?
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's been doing this a long time. He's a fan. I think I don't want to say the best and the worst, but that's the great part about it is he's trying to do the right thing. And you can't always do the right thing.
I think it's a bad thing to him just because he takes it. It hurts him.
Personal.
I feel like Goodell can separate a little bit. I don't think Commissioner Seelig can.
Here we go.
And sometimes you got to separate.
I'm the same way. I take it personal because the game is personal.
In 2009, Joe Torre was named Sporting News Manager of the Decade, now working with the Commissioner, Major League Baseball Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations. That's a big title. What does that mean?
It means you don't have a day off.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. A lot of emails, a lot of videos, and a lot of discipline. But it's baseball, and the reason I enjoy it is because there's no stress. I'm not responsible for winning and losing. And to me, I didn't realize until I got away from it how much that does take out of you.
But did you have to be told by your wife will sense something or see something before you do. You think you're fine. Usually your wife says, no, you're not. You need to, let's step back here.
Well, yeah, she does recognize it, certainly ahead of me. But the last few years with the Yankees were very stressful. Every year, I guess 5, 6, 7, or it must have been that. After the season was over, it was either George didn't know if he wanted me back or I didn't know if I wanted to come back. And there'd be media on my lawn, right up through Halloween, and that was the disconcerting part for me. And my wife is the one that recognized that you're probably too sensitive. When I was taking certain things in those last couple of years, maybe not the wrong way, but maybe magnifying them. And so she recognizes that. And when I walked away, I certainly didn't expect to be managing anymore. And then the Dodgers, asked, and I said, let's see if it can be fun again. It was fun, And then when the time came for me to say goodbye there, I was ready to not do this anymore.
Last time you got a call about managing?
I had, I don't know if I don't get direct calls. I get people who said, are you interested? It's still going on. This past summer, I've had people say that such and such team is curious if you want to do this.
Any scenario where you do it again?
No. I say that now, but I don't. No, I can't see of anything because I'm going to be managing the WBC.
Yeah.
And that's going to be March, for about 3 weeks. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting, but it's sort of like having the grandchildren and then being able to give them back to their parents. It's just 3-week period of time, and hopefully we go all the way to the championship game and win that.
You have replacement officials in the NFL, and And as I said a couple of times already this morning, they're trying, but there's a reason why they're replacement officials. They're not good enough to be the real officials. How would baseball deal with something like this?
Well, we've had that for a time, a while ago. And the interesting part about it is there's a lot of griping even now, obviously, about the officials, and they're part of my responsibility, the umpires. But it's always I always find it amusing when players or managers or general managers, no, this guy can't umpire, blah blah blah. But during that replacement umpire situation, they, I think, renewed a respect for what these guys do, and I think it's very tough. I know in baseball for these umpires to work on a day-to-day basis because of all the scrutiny. I mean, with all the technology that picks up any flaw or mistake, and you have bang plays. And I watch more games probably than I ever have. But you hear the announcer say, "Oh, it's a bang play," and then they show slow-mo, and how can he miss that play? Well, you can't go from bang play to how does he miss that play? So it's when you're in competition, Dan. Unfortunately, there are no rules. I always like to deal with liking people to deal with respect, but when that, the volume's turned up, it's really tough to say that it doesn't matter.
You expect more replay?
You know what? The more we investigate it, the more unlikely it is that anything's going to happen soon. And the reason I say that is because we're checking different technologies now, with the technology that they use in golf when they track the ball, and also in tennis, when you've seen that technology. Yeah. And in fact, at the two New York stadiums here, the two New York ballparks, we're testing it this month. And everything we've gotten so far, we don't feel good about it. We don't feel good about it. We can expand it just for the sake of expanding it because there's an outcry for it. But I think, I feel, unless we can do it the right way, we've got to just sort of bite the bullet a little bit and do the best we can with what we have, because I don't think it's there yet to make this game move, not slow the game down, and yet satisfy people.
Is there any parallel with how you handled Jabba Chamberlain, how the Nationals are handling Steven Strasburg?
I guess somewhat, except Strasburg certainly had more attention than Chamberlain did. I mean, Chamberlain had, coming up in the minor leagues, we can't pitch him 2 days in a row or whatever, I forget now. And that was fine. I think if a manager knows what the rules of the road are, you plan your day around it, and that's what you do. And at Strasburg, there are so many people that are voicing their opinions on what the best way to do it is. You'd like to believe that, Washington, felt that they wanted to do it a certain way and start them and let them run out of innings. Everybody says, well, you could have used them in the bullpen. You could have not started them till later. But did they know for sure that they were going to be 5 or 6 games ahead at this point in time? They needed him to get to this point. But to me, I've always felt that a player's health was the most important thing, especially a young player. If an older player says, I know it's at stake and let me go out there, you may listen to it. But for a young player, when his career is in front of him, and there are people that are smarter than I and doctors that know more than I do, certainly you have to listen to them.
Best gift you've ever received from a former player?
Oh, wow. Well, just recently, I just mentioned something a minute ago off the air. Derek Jeter gave me a baseball, the home run ball that he broke. I had I think it was 252 home runs in my career, and this was 253. And he wrote a note. He says, Mr. T, he says, I told you I should have been hitting third all along. And, of course, my response to that is the ball's livelier today. Otherwise, he would never have approached my 252.
How do you think he would have been as a three-hole hitter?
Anywhere. I started him out, when you think about it, I started him out in the 9-hole and the 8-hole. And then, he batted second most of the time for me. And every once in a while, when I felt we needed a little bit of a pickup, I'd lead him off. And the one game that really comes to mind is Game 4 against the Mets. We had beat them first 2 games. They beat us the next game, and I just felt that as I mentioned earlier, that this momentum switches, and I wanted to make sure we got it back on our side. Well, he took the first pitch off Bobby Jones, hits a home run. He had the magic of doing that because, he lives for the big moment. But I think he could have hit anywhere, and I've hit him third a time or two, and he'd always walk around with this little cocky look on his face. He wouldn't talk to anybody. Here I am hitting third.
He had attitude when he was in the 3-hole.
Oh yeah, but I'd say he enjoys the game, and he's pretty comfortable in his own skin.
Best player you ever managed?
Yes, he is, no question.
Where does he rank, though? We look at Yankee greats, with Babe and Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio. I mean, I don't know where he fits in on that list. Are you comfortable assessing that?
Yeah, it's tough because each era is so different. I mean, that's like trying to compare the Bob Pettits of the world in basketball back when 6'9" was big.
Yeah.
Now they dribble up the court at 6'9", at 6'11" sometimes. But he obviously didn't have the home run, the power of those guys. But at one time I said, because when the American League was blessed with all these shortstops, they had Tejada, had Garcia Parra, had Alex, and of course Derek. If you drop somebody from outer space and they looked at all the stats, Derek wouldn't fare very well. But there's something he brings to the game every day that is very special, and you really can't feel it, and yet you can feel it if he's in your clubhouse.
I know when we've had you on, you've talked about your Safe at Home Foundation. I don't know what's new with it, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, I was growing up, Dan, and my dad abused my mom. I never witnessed it, but I saw the results of it, and the interesting part, it affected me as the youngest of 5 children. I was a very nervous kid. I had no confidence in myself. I didn't even go off my high school baseball team, my first year because I didn't think I could make it. This is the kind of lack of confidence that, I had. I happened to go to a seminar my wife had asked me, but she was 8 months pregnant with our daughter, and I said yes. We were in Cincinnati, at your hometown, I come to find out. And she says, do you want to do this self-help type of seminar? I said, yeah. I mean, I was going to say yes to her. She was 8 months pregnant. I said yes, no question. And I found myself in the second day of the 4-day seminar, I'm standing in front of perfect strangers just crying my eyes out because all of a sudden I was connecting the dots and I was putting my fears and different things, connecting it to what was going on in my house when I was growing up. So now I felt free to talk about it. I felt, it doesn't go away. You still have those feelings, but at least you knew you weren't born that way, that there was something that affected your life. So when we came to New York, my wife says, what kind of charity should we get involved in? And I said, how about domestic violence? And it sort of took her off guard. And so we decided to start our Safe at Home Foundation, which my wife suggests we do it through education. So we put safe rooms in schools. We have eight middle and high schools in New York, plus the Brooklyn and Queens Family Justice Centers. We have 2 schools out on the West Coast, and we put counselor, a master's level counselor, and they help these kids deal with something they didn't share. I never shared it with anybody. Friends I grew up with didn't know this was going on at my home. And these kids, let them know they're not alone and they didn't do anything wrong. And in light of what went on at Penn State, things that people don't want to share. And it didn't come out till years later that these kids were getting abused.
Is there a website that people can get more information on this?
JoeTorre.org. And this November 8th, we're going to have our 10th dinner, our 10th annual dinner. I'm very proud of what we've done and continue to do. And of course, it's tougher nowadays than ever before to raise money. But, I'm very proud of the fact that our programs work.
It's great to see you again, Joe.
Thanks, Dan. It's a pleasure being here.
Could you give Seton a hug on the way out, though?
Seton, my man, from Boston, though, huh?
Oh, no. That was wife.
No, my wife is from Boston. I'm from Jersey.
Wait a minute. What's wrong? Your wife is from Boston. Nothing wrong. You don't whoa on your wife being from Boston.
No, that's very true.
Right?
I'm probably in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, you probably are, and rightly so.
I better say yes, too.
Yeah, but my wife's from Cincinnati.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, no, it's nice being here. I'm glad you got a chance to meet me, even though I went against my rules of no pictures on Monday.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I hope you do. I hope you continue to now that you met me.